Uh-oh.
Yes, boy!
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Sorry, guys. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mark It Down podcast. My name is James Giasanti. I am heavily medicated. I am tired and I am hurting, but I am here for you tonight here at the Mark It Down podcast as we cover TNA Genesis. Guys, I am so sorry. As you can see, not in great shape by myself, no producer boy. But we will get through this show together as TNA absolutely delivered. Absolutely killed it. This was a show with a lot of expectation, a lot of hype, and a lot of eyes. This was the largest TNA audience, I think, ever. They kept touting this as this huge crowd, and it looked it. I can't remember seeing such a packed house for TNA for an Impact show in a long time, if ever. So that was great. And of course, we're coming hot off the heels of the major announcement that TNA and WWE are going to be entering or have entered a multi-year partnership, which will see talent from both brands, from both companies crossing over. Now, they have specified we should expect it to be NXT talent, mixing it up with the TNA talent. And that's something we're going to get into down the road. But a lot of people are excited. A lot of people are happy. And we are going to run with that. All right. For now, this is a good thing. For now, this is something to be excited about more than anything else. If you've got reservations like I do, it's okay. We're not wrong. But let's try to go in with an open mind. Let's try to go in with the same excitement that a lot of people who aren't familiar with TNA are expressing themselves. But let's get into it. Let's get into the show. Out the gate, actually, you know what? Before we get into the show, we need to talk about something that happened on another show. This was beyond just being TNA Genesis playing tonight on pay-per-view. GCW was running a show at the Hammerstein Ballroom. They were running a show, a highly anticipated show, a lot of drama, a lot of conflict going on with this show, but a show that had a lot of excitement, a show that was pretty packed from what I saw. And of course, going back to that controversy, something that we should not have expected, but here we are. PCO, the digital media champion for TNA, was not on the TNA pay-per-view card tonight, but he was on the pre-show for GCW, where he did make some TNA news, as I believe he wrestled a match, and after the match, took his digital media championship, placed it on a steel chair, and then mercilessly wrecked it, just absolutely ravaged it with a sledgehammer. Now, guys, there's a lot of speculation going on. There's a lot of questions. Was this a shoot? Was this a work? Are we getting worked? I don't know. After destroying that championship, he then goes on an anti-TNA tirade, talking about all he's contributed to the company, their ticket sales, their merch, everything he's done before having that promo cut. So, early word coming out, early reports are suggesting that PCO absolutely went into business for himself. Speculation is that PCO's contract is not being renewed. He is not happy, and he was going to drop the Digital Media Championship this Thursday on what will be TNA's first live Impact in 8 years. That's huge, by the way. That's something in itself we got to celebrate. That's something we've got to talk about, and something that we're going to have a lot of fun covering this upcoming Thursday. But yeah, this was messy. I fully admit I'm a PCO fan. It's been harder and harder over the last couple of years to see him do these death-defying stunts that he's been doing, but I'm always rooting for him. I'm always happy to see talent rejuvenate themselves. I'm always happy to see talent revitalize themselves the way PCO did. But this was not good. This is not how you do business. This is unprofessional. And this is how you ensure you're not going to really get booked anywhere. If he was truly done with TNA, I guess it doesn't matter if that bridge is burned for him. But now with the WWE TNA partnership, I guess this makes sure there will never be a WWE cameo. I guess the door's open still for AEW, but if I'm Tony Khan, I'm not bringing that guy and that presence onto my roster, into my locker room after all that. So really, really weird move. And if this is a work, if I am getting worked, if we're all getting worked, what was the point? I know there's that expression, not all press is bad press, but this is bad. This is bad press, guys. But all right, enough about GCW, enough about the GCW show. Had to cover it. Had a major TNA element to it. But we are going to move to the main show of TNA's Genesis, where the X Division Championship was on the line as Moose, the dominant juggernaut of the X Division, defended the title against Ace Austin, a former 3-time X Division champion. This was awesome. This was a great way to start the show. This was a great way to get people excited. Now, let me say, the pre-show did have some fun bits to it. I know I wanted to get onto the main show just because I'm tired, but I should acknowledge that the pre-show did have a good match between Frankie Kazarian and Leon Slater. Leon Slater going for his shooting star swanton, but not being able to close the deal, as Frankie Kazarian hit him with the knees to the guts, and then rolled him up. 1, 2, 3. That crafty veteran going over the young kid once again. We did have some NXT TNA partnership stuff, as Ariana Grace from NXT was talking about it. It was on the panel, a panel that saw Mark Henry. That's right, WWE legend Mark Henry. Just was never expecting that. Was never expecting Mark Henry, along with Gia Miller and Tommy Dreamer and LaGreca. This was wow. Henry has always been a company guy. He'll go wherever you send him, but I just wasn't expecting him, so it was cool. We had Jake something defeat Ashanti the Adonis. Wow. Ashanti the Adonis. Wasn't expecting him in TNA either, but here we are. Moose, of course, teasing his new X Division title, as he had thrown out the old X Division title a couple of weeks ago on Impact. And yeah, I'm a little scatterbrained, so I apologize. I'm a little tired. I'm a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs right now. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, BX. I believe in Jimpact. A lot of believing tonight. A lot of believing in the Jimpact zone. But let's get to it. Let's get to the main show. Moose defending the X Division title against Ace Austin. Like I said, action from bell to bell. As soon as the bell rang, Ace Austin just jumped Moose, just hitting him with a barrage of offense, hitting him with everything he got. This was a match of power versus speed. This was David versus Goliath. And as corny as all those things sound, it was epic. It really was just kind of epic, guys. Austin coming across as just this never-ending force. You know, he was just a ball of pure energy taking on the massive Moose. And it was working for quite a bit. He had the upper hand for a good amount of time, fighting on the inside the ring, outside the ring, throwing himself at Moose with everything he had. It wasn't until JDC of the system, Moose's boys, got involved while the referee was distracted and threw Austin face first into the ring post that we saw the momentum begin to change. Austin kept it going. He kept trying to mount a comeback until a massive, massive choke slam from in the ring off the top rope to the apron. Envision that, by the way, because if it sounds scary, it was, but it was also fucking cool. It was awesome. And that's truly where the momentum started to turn around in the champ's favor. Austin just bounced off of that apron. The ref going for the 10 count, but Austin is barely able to survive it, barely able to get back in the ring. Both men just trading shots, trading blows. Moose hits a massive go-to-hell choke slam off the top rope onto Austin, but that is not enough to put down the former X Division champion, the former 3-time X Division champion, who was able to kick out at 2. It's at this point that Ace is beginning a bit of a comeback. He goes for some roll-ups. The crowd is absolutely behind him. Austin then goes for some offense onto Moose, but he is interrupted by the other members of the system, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers, who are running down the ramp. Austin takes this opportunity to go over the ropes, jumping onto them, taking out every member of the system. He gets back in the ring, and he is met with a massive spear. Oh, no, I apologize. Moose meets him outside and hits a massive spear on the ringside area. He follows up with a cover, but isn't enough. Austin is able to kick out. Fans are just ravenous for Austin to get this win over Moose, who goes for the roll-up but doesn't get it. He tries a few more quick attempts before going for the art of finesse, but Moose counters him with a spear to the back. This was rough to see, but it was a cool variation of the move. It was a cool thing to switch things up, and Moose is just an absolute master against these little guys. What up, Dev? How you doing, pal? Much appreciated having you here, buddy. Thank you for joining me on this snowy Sunday night, or at least it's snowy up by me. But your friendship, your viewership, your part in this community is keeping my heart warm. Thanks, pal. And then after that backward spear, Moose hits him with a third spear, and that is finally enough to put down the former champion, and it is finally enough to secure the win for this current monstrous reign for the X Division champion. Moose, look, I was rooting for Ace Austin, but at the same time, I'm not too sad, simply because I've been rooting for Austin to climb up the card a little bit more. Maybe go for the world championship. And while the X Division championship, it would certainly be enough to keep him warm, to keep things situated while that world championship scene is so crowded. I'd rather see him lose this battle and win the Ultimate War and just fight other main eventers in the World Heavyweight Championship scene. So time will tell if this was a true loss or a secret victory for the fast young star. Wow. Deb saying it's also snowing in PA too. Yep, the Northeast is getting covered. The Northeast is getting covered right now. It's pretty awesome. We definitely need it. I'm not a fan of snow every day, but once in a while, seeing the powder on the ground makes things really nice. Post-match, the rest of the system come in the ring to celebrate with Moose, but more importantly, they begin a beatdown of Ace Austin. But this brings out the team of Eric Young and Steve Maclin, who have had their own issues with the system for quite a bit. They defend the young star, they ward Moose off, and the match that they were supposed to have with the system, with Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards, which was supposed to be later tonight, is happening now. This match was fine. Not real, being second on a show is always kind of hard. It's always a weird place to find yourself, but it's an important spot. And following that X Division Championship match, it was always going to be tough, but I think they did admirably. Edwards and Myers have definitely found a great chemistry with one another. They have definitely really gelled as a team over time. And depending on how you feel about the system, they're either a reliable team or a nuisance, but either way, they're filling their role very, very well. Not going to get too deep into this match because it was just a lot of brawling on the outside until everything really picked up and the bell finally rang. But Maclin going for a spear in the corner, but Alicia interferes, hitting Maclin with, I think, like brass knucks or something. I didn't really see what it was, but it was enough to knock him loopy. He then gets hit with a spear, but that is not enough to keep him down. He kicks out. Eventually, Maclin does hit that running spear onto Myers in the corner, with Young hitting a diving splash onto Edwards onto the outside. Maclin then follows this up with a KIA onto Myers for the cover. 1, 2, 3. And this new team of Steve Maclin and Eric Young are really coming together. I love Maclin. I love babyface Maclin. If you're familiar with the pod, this isn't new to you guys. I have been really repping babyface Maclin for quite a bit, but I understand that he's not really hot enough to go to the world title scene right now, unless it's like a multi-man match. So this tag team is a great way to keep him hot. It's a great way to maybe get him in a title match sooner than later. I mean, granted, I'm not rooting for anybody to take the titles off either the Hardys or the Rascalz. We're not going to talk about it yet. But yeah, I'm really happy for Maclin. The crowd is really behind him, especially after the PTSD angle he shot a couple months back. So good win, good matchup. The system going 50-50 tonight, not getting two major wins, but getting, the bigger win in defending that X Division Championship. Moving on to another championship match, we have the Knockouts Tag Team Championships on the line as Spitfires, Danny Luna and Jody Threat defend against Elegance, Ash by Elegance, and Heather by Elegance. Or Heather Elegance? I don't really know. My bad, guys. Yeah, no, it is Heather by Elegance. That's on me. Guys, this match was a lot better than I thought it would be. This was the match that I was kind of not dreading. I don't want to say dreading, but it was the match I was least looking forward to. It was the match that I just thought would be whatever. And all it really did was reiterate to me that Spitfire should not be the tag team champions. Not because I'm tired of them, because that's where I was a while ago, but it's not where I am now. But more so because Danny Luna should absolutely be going for the Knockouts World Championship sooner than later. She just came across as an absolute powerhouse, an absolute beast against the Elegances. The Elegances who came out dressed as Dallas cheerleaders, by the way. Dallas Cowgirl cheerleaders. This was a fun spot. That was a fun way to kind of get heat, kind of get just, you know, a little bit of a pop from the crowd. They looked good. But yeah, Luna just hitting again these massive German suplexes over and over and over again, and just looking like a beast. At one point pre-match, Iceman, Ash, and Heather huddle up for a Go Eagles cheer. I'm only bringing that up because you guys are talking about the Eagles in the comments. Dev hating the Eagles, so he was absolutely not going to be rooting for Heather or Ash by Elegance tonight. Yep, you guys just heard me crack open in Arizona. God, medicine of the gods. But the match, again, it was fun. It wasn't a long match. It was more of a quick match. But eventually, Spitfire hit their tag finish, pin. I believe it was Ash by Elegance. And look, I've been going on and on and on ad nauseum for weeks, if not months now, that the Knockouts tag team division is in a rough spot. And we know, to be fair, it's the entire Knockouts division that's kind of in a rough spot. Ooh. I think I have an ice pack around here somewhere, but there you go. And I have been long a proponent of just fresh blood. To be fair, I've been long a proponent of fresh blood in that division. For a while, we were going back and forth with the Death Dolls and Spitfire and Militia, or just Masha in general, because she was with Killer Kelly for a while. Laundry. Professionals here at the Mark It Down podcast, guys. It is a catchy jingle, though. And a team like the Elegances, who Ash by Elegance has, in my opinion, improved. She's never going to be a work rate star. She's never going to be the biggest name. She's never going to be, or not the biggest name, but she's never going to be the best worker that you've got. But she's greatly improved. Her character work has gotten better. And this gimmick with the Iceman, with Heather, it's working. And after 2 failed attempts at the Knockouts world title, I thought this would have been a great pivot. I think everybody would have won. The Elegances would have gotten a major boost. The Knockouts tag team division would have gotten a freshening up. And I think it would have greatly worked. So I hope this isn't the last time we see these two teams go at it. I hope the Elegances are able to maybe grab the win sooner than later. And I hope that Danny Luna can move over to the Knockouts world title scene. Not that I'm not rooting for Jody Threat. I am rooting for Jody Threat. But I think you have an undeniable star in Danny Luna. And it'd be a shame if you don't capitalize on that. But we'll see. We know how TNA works sometimes. They work in mysterious ways. But going backstage to really the only segment of the night, the only promo, the only non-match of the night, as Frankie Kazarian is backstage celebrating, or I guess relaxing, resting after his big win over Leon Slater in the pre-show. And he doesn't really know what he's going to do. He makes it clear he's got an opportunity he's got an opportunity to do something big. He's got an opportunity with that Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy to make history, to become the TNA World Championship. He says that he hopes that Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry tear each other apart, because then he's got a decision to make. He teases that tonight might be that night for the cash-in, as he's so close to both of these guys, having watched both of them as he was the referee in their main event for Bound for Glory. So always something to look out for in these TNA World Title main events. You never know what chaos could unfold. But moving on to what was probably a top anticipated match I don't know if it was the top anticipated match, but a top anticipated match, as we had Tessa Blanchard taking on Jordynn Grace in a, let's just call it a grudge match. Guys, this was dirty. These two women just absolutely laid into one another. It's no secret. It's no secret. And I've talked about it on the pod. I'm going to do my best to be objective when it comes to Tessa Blanchard, someone who comes with a lot of baggage, a lot of negative history, and let's just say is a controversial figure. I'm trying to, not just bash her at every point because it's going to get exhausting week in and week out. But I will say, even if I don't do it, it's great to hear you guys do it. You guys did not disappoint, TNA audience. Genesis crowd, you guys did not disappoint. You guys delivered, as Tessa was granted with a lot of negativity. And not your typical boo, you're a heel negativity. No, this was something else. Lots of fuck you Tessas, which maybe I don't condone. Maybe. Lots of she is racist chants. That's a new one. Never heard that one before. Never heard she is racist being chanted at a wrestling event. Pretty in unison, mind you. But that crowd absolutely delivered on that front. At one point, commentary had to acknowledge it, and they did their best. It's an awkward position for anyone to be in, and I think Tom Hannafin did the best that he could, acknowledging that there are outside factors at play when it comes to discussing Tessa Blanchard and fans' feelings towards Tessa Blanchard. But say what you will. This had a lot of heat. Tessa Blanchard returning to the company. This is her first match in TNA since leaving in 2020 as the World Heavyweight Champion, the only woman in any major wrestling promotion to have won the men's World Heavyweight title. Tessa Blanchard did that. WWE has never done it. AEW's never done it. WCW never did it. ECW never did it. Ring of Honor never did it. TNA did it with Tessa, and it did not go well. Deb asking a great question. What TNA bringing her back for? What's TNA bringing Tessa Blanchard back for? I think headlines, Dev. I think that's the only real answer here. I think that TNA is in desperate need of stars, and they think that Tessa Blanchard will bring a lot of publicity, a lot of attention, and to be fair, she did. She did bring a lot of attention and a lot of publicity. Damn, Russell, I'm doing my best. You want me to talk about this match or what, man? Got to talk about all of it. I'll do my best for you, though, pal. I promise. BX saying a great thing. To quote a great writer, the answers to all of your questions is money. Great quote. But getting back to the matchup, because I guess I am dragging it out a little bit. I apologize. This was a hard-hitting matchup. Jordynn Grace, who is, destined for other places, destined for big things, being the powerhouse that she is, taking on the faster, lucha-inspired Tessa Blanchard. Tessa getting a lot of work in Mexico during this time away from TNA. Has definitely upped her style a little bit, changed her style a little bit, working more of a lucha type match. These two just brought it to each other. Jordynn powering her, just absolutely power bombing her, throwing her around across the ring to the outside, smashing her into objects, everything. And Tessa just doing everything she can to just wrap herself around Jordynn. At one point, she hits a very nasty looking, a gnarly octopus stretch. Bottom line, finish coming after kind of a botch, unfortunately, as Tessa was being grabbed up by Jordynn. She's in the corner, and she's trying to rip off that turnbuckle, that middle turnbuckle in the corner, but she couldn't quite grab it as Jordynn had her in a German suplex-like position, a German suplex type hold, and she just pulled her too fast before Tessa was able to remove the turnbuckle. This then led to sort of like a snake eyes situation where Jordynn goes into that turnbuckle and it just doesn't look like it should have been a finish. And thankfully they did pivot. They did retry it again as Tessa then just went to the corner, ripped off the turnbuckle, and was able to navigate Jordynn headfirst into that exposed turnbuckle. This then led to a great finish with a code breaker off the top rope. I'm sorry, I couldn't quite remember the name of the finish for Tessa, but it is essentially a code breaker off the top rope into a waiting Jordynn Grace. And 1, 2, 3, Tessa Blanchard has gotten her first win in TNA since 2020. Commentary made sure to note that she hasn't lost in TNA since 2019, which means nothing considering she hasn't been in the company for 5 years. I digress. But the bigger story coming out of this, beyond the fact that we all knew Tessa was most likely winning, is that it seems this was Jordynn Grace's final appearance for TNA Wrestling. It's no secret. We've been talking about it here on the pod for a long time. Jordynn was destined for WWE. From the moment she showed up in that Royal Rumble last year, you could hear tick, 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 the clock ticking down for Jordynn Grace's career in TNA. So much so that, as it was reported earlier or later last year, Jordynn had her contract amended with TNA. It was supposed to have ended in the summer of this year, 2025. She had it amended to end earlier, to end in January of 2025. I am disappointed as a TNA fan, but I'm very happy for Jordynn. This seems like it's been something she's wanted for a very, very long time. And you want to see these stars achieve their dreams. You want to see these stars achieve greatness. And it's unfortunate to see TNA losing such a great, great talent. That said, short of winning the TNA World Heavyweight Championship and being the second woman to do it, there wasn't much more for Jordynn to do. She's a former Knockouts world champion, multi-time world champion. She's a former tag team champion, Knockouts tag team champion. Hell, she's a former digital media champion. So again, it's not like there was much left for her to do in TNA. She's gone through basically everybody. But still a loss, still a massive loss for TNA. Granted, with this WWE TNA partnership, who knows? Maybe this isn't the last we'll ever see of her in TNA, but it's going to be the last for a long time, I think. And expect February 1st, calling it now, Jordynn Grace debut or re-debut for WWE, making her second Royal Rumble appearance. I don't want to say that's a spoiler, but, Paul E. Heyman might agree with me. So wishing the best to Jordynn Grace, wishing a Sunday to Tessa Blanchard. See, I could be civil. Moving on. We then go into, guys, this was a war. A war. An I Quit match between Josh Alexander and Mike Santana. Yowie, wowie. This was rough, guys. One of two hardcore type matchups of the night. This being the first, the second being the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match later for the Knockouts World title. Guys, Santana and Alexander are really good. They like really brought it, which shouldn't shock anybody. But wow, it's nice to be reminded, even if it's on a weekly basis. It's nice to be reminded how good wrestling fucking is sometimes. And this was awesome. Mike was obviously very excited. Mike had a lot of energy. Mike had a lot of speed. He was not slow in any match, any move that he hit tonight. Everything he did was impactful. Everything he did was fast paced. You know what? BX is right. That's HOG champion Mike Santana, House of Glory champion Mike Santana, who did just defend the title 2 days ago, either yesterday or 2 days ago, against Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks in Chicago. You're right. They did put on a great show at House of Glory last year. I didn't even think about that as I was watching this matchup, but you're absolutely right. This is them running it back. If you're a New York local and you've been to a House of Glory show, you would know that these two guys have history. So great memory there, BX. Thank you. But yeah, guys, this match had a little bit of everything. It had tables, it had zip ties, it had outside action, it had steel steps, it had just absolute debauchery. I loved how angry Santana got. Russell asking a great question. Russell saying he heard that Josh is leaving soon when his contract is up. I guess that's not a question. I'm sorry. He was making a statement. I thought you were asking when his contract is up, which is apparently February, by the way. But we'll get into that a little bit as we finish talking about the matchup. One of the great bits was every time the ref put the microphone in Santana's face and he was asked if he wanted to quit, he just kept getting angrier and angrier. He said, "No, God damn it, no, ref, get that out of my damn face. I don't quit." He just absolutely refused to die, absolutely refused to back down against Josh Alexander. At one point, he is down and Alexander just wails on his knee, his leg, over and over and over and over with a steel chair. The ref asks him if he is going to give up. Santana says, "No, you're going to have to kill me, Josh." Santana hits him again. No, I'm sorry. Josh hits him again, and Santana begins to laugh and says, "There ain't no quit in my blood." Great line. We'll get more into what I think about with everything here. But at one point, Santana starts bleeding, but he just seems to enjoy it. And Alexander obliges with his request for asking for more and hits him with a C4 spike. Santana then no-sells it, shoots up, slaps his own face, and just absolutely unloads on Josh. He goes for a buckle bomb, but he kind of misses. It was kind of scary, if I'm going to be honest. Like I said, Santana was definitely excited for this matchup, moving a little bit faster, kind of missing some spots. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to call him out because this was a great matchup, but there were a few moments here and there where I was like, damn, that was a little dirty. That wasn't crisp. That wasn't clean. He goes for that buckle bomb and he kind of misses, and Josh kind of hits his head on the corner. At one point, I missed this, by the way, and I'm so sorry, but it was just a good spot. Santana is just building up steam, trying to get ready. He goes, runs the ropes, and as he meets Josh just ducks, throws him over his head to the outside and through a table. It was pretty brutal. at this point, both men are just going back at it, one after another. Santana hits a leaping hurricanrana to bring Josh off the top rope. He follows it with a big frog splash. Santana then hits the spin the block clothesline, spinning clothesline, and it knocks Josh Alexander's mouthpiece and his headgear off. I thought that was a great visual. I thought it was just, wow, really demonstrated how hard these guys were hitting the crap out of each other. The ref asked Josh if he quit, but he does not. At this point, Santana gets zip ties out. And these are the zip ties that I should have mentioned earlier. Josh had tried putting on to Santana, but Santana was able to get out of. These are the same zip ties that he has put on multiple people while wrestling, including Steve Maclin in his matchups. At this point, Josh has his arm zip tied behind his back, and then he hits another spin the block. Oh, guys, you're seeing something painful. Ooh, okay. Bear with me because that was painful. Oh, sorry, guys. At this point, Josh said no again. Santana brings a table into the ring and hits Alexander with it while leaning it against the corner over his body. He then pulls the ring steps over in front of it. Santana runs, leaps off the steps, and hits a massive cannonball through the table onto Alexander, who was propped up into that corner. Great spot. The ref then asks Alexander, who again refuses to quit. Santana pulls out a slapjack. So it is a sock with 2 cue balls wrapped up, and he just continues to beat the ever-living shit out of Josh with it. Josh is bleeding from the mouth. He is bleeding. He is roughed up, but he refuses to quit. As that blood is filling up his mouth and the ref puts the mic in his face, he says, "You'll never be the guy, Mike." Santana then puts his boot on the back of Alexander's head with his hands cuffed behind him, zip tied behind him. He then threatens to curb stomp him through the steel steps. And at that point, Josh finally quits. Brutal. I am never a huge fan of I quit matches, guys. I always think that all the action that precedes the actual I quit just feels so much more than the moment that usually leads to the I quit. And that was not the case here. He had been brutalized, and then he was finally presented with something that was too much, that was believably too much. He might have received a beating that he could withstand, but he knew what the limit was. And I thought that was a great finish to a great I quit match. Afterwards, Santana gets the mic and confronts Josh, demanding that Josh keep his word and shake his hand. He says that he is the man around here. Santana extends his hand. Alexander reaches out and obliges. While still holding his hand, he asks for the mic. He says, "I'm a man of my word. I said I quit. I'll look you eye to eye and admit you're the new standard of TNA." You go, Mike. He says, "I quit tonight, but I quit TNA too." He then drops the mic, walks out of the ring, and walks up the ramp, and that is it. Now, guys, going back to Russell. What's up, Kevin? How you doing, pal? Less sick, a little bit of a cough, but I've been fighting that for a little while. Recovering from surgery, pal. Don't ever say I don't love you guys. Don't ever say I don't love doing this, because I absolutely do. And I appreciate and love you guys for being here with me on this snowy Sunday night. Kevin, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by, pal. So, going back to Russell's point, he heard that Josh is leaving soon when his contract is up. Yeah, guys, it looks like his contract is going to be up in February. And it looks like this might have been maybe Josh's last appearance in TNA. You never know. We've been talking about it all night for different things. What's a work? What's a shoot? What's real? what's fantasy, what's a dream. Quite frankly, I'm on enough pain medication right now. Anything could be fake. I don't know. I could be dreaming you guys right now. But I think we're here. I think this is real. That pain of my shoulder a minute ago definitely felt real, definitely woke me up. But BX saying James needs to get on that Cena rehab program. Hey, I can tell you, I met with my doctor a couple of days. See, that time I didn't lurch. That time I knew how to do it. I met with my doctor, and I am apparently healing well, and might be healing so well that I get the sling off a couple weeks early. Granted, I only went in for this surgery on Monday, but what was expected to be 6 weeks might be 4 weeks. So let's see. Root for me, guys, because God knows I need it. Jesus. Perk Jangle. Ooh, Kevin asking a great question right now. Kevin asking, what's the number one reason to be watching TNA right now? Jeez, Lou. Good question, Kevin. All right. If you're me, my number one reason to be watching TNA right now is it's the most consistent product on television. It is more consistent than WWE. It's more consistent than AEW. I think that both companies hit higher highs usually, but there's a lot of lulls in between. Some of those Monday Night Raws, some of those Friday Night SmackDowns, you guys have been there. They can be tough. Sometimes we see the same thing over and over. With AEW, again, when stuff is great, it's great. But when we're kind of in the middle of everything, it could kind of be, it could kind of be a slog. Again, it could kind of be a little aimless. With TNA, I'd have to say week in, week out on Impact, they are delivering a top quality product. There are great stars right now, just absolutely killing it. You have young guys like Ace Austin, who in my opinion will be the future of this company if he decides to stay. You have one of the best, if not the best, women's divisions in all of wrestling, even though it is a little bit thin right now, but they are treated the best. We had 3 women's matches tonight. All of them well-earned. All of them deserved to be there. You had 2 title matches and 1 grudge match. So absolutely one of the best handled, one of the best treated women's divisions in all of professional wrestling. The tag team scene is lighting up right now. You have the Hardys who were unable to strike and find gold in AEW, who seem like they're 10 years younger than they are right now in TNA, and the crowd is loving them. You have this young team like the Rascalz. You have Maclin and Eric Young. You have the System. You have so much talent right now. It's kind of crazy. We talk about bloated rosters, in WWE and AEW, and it's like, man, where are these guys going to go if they're not in one of those 2 companies that are so overfull? But you know what? TNA is making the most of their roster, and it's great to see. Now, that's my reason. That's my number one reason to be watching TNA right now. Consistent, great product. But the reality is there are other reasons too that, if you're not me, are probably more exciting. Right now, this TNA WWE deal is huge. Undeniably. I'm not thrilled, but undeniably, that's a big deal. When was the last time WWE ever made such a big deal about working with another company? We've had little moments here and there. They've had some correspondence with New Japan in the past when we had Jushin Thunder Liger work in NXT. Obviously, AEW, they loved having their AEW stars do like their tribute packages to guys like Cena on WWE TV. Obviously, they had back in the past a friendly working relationship with ECW, but it was never some major official thing. This is groundbreaking for WWE. This is groundbreaking for TNA. I have my reservations, and I don't want to spoil tonight talking about them. I don't want to spoil tonight focusing on worry and concern when they put on such a great show. But so maybe that'll be a video I make soon. But BX saying, although James is definitely going to say Cena posting about the TNA deal. Yeah, no, that was fucking awesome. Not the first time Cena's made a TNA reference, by the way. He's done it on WWE TV. Go check it out. Kevin asking, can I explain the WWE TNA deal a little bit? Did they get bought out? No, they did not get bought out, but that is a great question, Kevin. Thank you for asking that. This is two separate entities. WWE is a subsidiary of TKO. It is a group product along with UFC owned by Endeavor. TNA is owned by Anthem. These two companies are working together, and we're just going to see the wrestling promotions cross-promote from time to time. I don't know if you guys saw, but on the Genesis poster yesterday, today, and I'd say Friday as well, that Genesis poster that we've seen for the last month, 2 months or so, had the NXT logo on the bottom. How friggin' cool is that? How bizarre is that to see? But it happened. So the basic gist of it is we're going to see TNA talent pop up in WWE, and we're going to see WWE talent pop up in TNA. Now, the press release did specify NXT stars, NXT talent. That does lend to my concern a little bit, but that's something, again, we could talk about later, unless you guys want me to. But that's up to you guys. You tell me if you want me to get into the stuff that I'm a little nervous about. BX making a great point in the comments. It's similar to the AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling deal. Nobody got bought. They just agreed to share talent. They are going to share talent. They're going to cross-promote their shows. They're going to actively acknowledge one another. And these are all great strides for WWE and for TNA. And arguably wrestling as a whole. Arguably. We'll talk about that maybe later. But overall, as of right now, let's call this day one. BX saying it's very 90s and it's great. You know, I'm inclined to agree with you right now. Like I said, if we're going to call today day one of this partnership, all good so far. We had a few NXT appearances, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. We had some WWE legend appearances like Mark Henry. So overall, things are already looking better. I had mentioned in the past it was, you know, a little frustrating that TNA was sending top stars over like Jordynn Grace, like Joe Hendry, Rosemary, Frankie Kazarian. Say what you will. Frankie's a top guy in TNA. While NXT was sending young talent like Charlie Dempsey, young talent like a lot of names that I'm sorry, guys, I just can't even remember. Young talent like Tatum Paxley. And it just didn't feel even. It felt more like TNA was sending. Oh, we'll talk about that, Kevin. We will talk about that. Maybe check the title. Wink. Wink, wink. And it felt like TNA was being used as a feeder system for NXT. NXT was sending down its talent to get some reps in, and TNA's major guys were being presented as an equal to the developmental brand for WWE. We'll see how I feel about that in a couple months. We'll talk again soon. But overall, more excitement than not. BX, yeah, spoilers. But yeah, going back to Josh, this is very interesting. I think the writing's been on the wall for Josh to leave TNA for a long time. When Scott D'Amore left, it felt like it was the clock was ticking. Last week was, sorry, Kevin. I apologize, man. I wish that we could have did that naturally. When Josh's wife, Jade, left her position as the ring announcer, again, just felt like more signs on the wall, that more writing on the wall that this was over. By the way, got to acknowledge Mackenzie Mitchell. Haven't seen her in a while since she was released from WWE. She popped up. She is the new ring announcer for TNA. God bless. Welcome to the team, Mackenzie Mitchell. Happy to have you, and happy to have you on TV again. Good for you, and great addition for TNA. Jade will be missed. Jade will be missed. No fucking way. Okay. Anyway, sorry, you guys will see in a second, I'm sure. But Jade, you will be missed, but congratulations on Mackenzie for filling that spot up. But yeah, Josh, I don't know where he's going to land. I'm not super convinced he's going to go to WWE, although that would be a great grab for them, and him teaming up with Ethan Page and reforming the North would be great for both guys, I think. A recent report had Scott D'Amore backstage for AEW. Maybe he'll follow Scott to AEW. But he did also acknowledge he's not going to be working any indies anymore. He's done doing indies. So I guess that does tend to make me think WWE is more of the realistic option. But either way, wow. Wow. Stalwart, a staple. A foundation piece of TNA is gone, and that's a major loss for TNA. Again, Josh has done everything there is. He's a former world champion, former tag team champion. Sure, he could have won an X Division title if he felt like it, but Moose is too busy doing that. So I guess there really weren't that many mountains left to climb in TNA, and with lots of loved ones leaving, that's big. So unfortunate loss for TNA. Yeah, no, it's very possible. He would be a great addition to their roster. He's a great worker. Quite frankly, him and Chad Gable would fuck. That would be absolutely amazing. Time will tell. February can't come fast enough, I guess. I just finished covering his match with Josh. I will say, TNA has an embarrassment of riches right now. TNA has such a heavy main event scene. Welcome, producer boy. Thank you for being here. TNA has such a heavy main event scene right now between Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry, Frankie Kazarian, Steve Maclin, Moose, although he's doing some other stuff right now. And now, of course, Mike Santana. Santana burst onto the scene. He came with a mission. He wanted to prove that he could be a singles star. It's why he left AEW, because apparently they didn't have that same vision for him. They saw him as a tag team guy. They wanted to keep him in Proud and Powerful with Ortiz, which we all loved. Proud and Powerful. We all loved that team. We loved LAX AEW style. They're a great team. Those guys had great chemistry, but Santana had other views for himself, and he wanted to bet on himself. This was a great spot, producer boy. If you want to pull it up, that'd be fun. Just don't, if it's got audio, don't play it. At this point, after a massive belly to belly onto the outside, somebody in the crowd says to out loud, "Wow, that looked like it hurt." And Santana says, "It did, asshole." And it really caught well on TV. So it was great. Kevin saying, so Santana is in the main event scene. I love that for him. He is and he isn't. He hasn't quite ascended yet, but he is right on the cusp. And it feels like only a matter of time before he does go after that world title and probably win it. But they have the Joe Hendry problem. And again, just the embarrassment of riches on how much top talent there is in the main event scene. When Nemeth came in, it was just a matter of time for him to win the world title. We all knew it was coming. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. All the while, Joe Hendry's stock kept rising. He kept getting bigger and more popular, and it was just this whirlwind, this tidal wave of popularity that you couldn't ignore. And I think TNA, like, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think TNA did want to ignore it. I don't think Joe was in their plans for such a big spot, but it became undeniable. And they had to play along eventually. I mean, we saw he didn't even win a Bound for Glory, their biggest event of the year. This is take 2, and that's fine. But like, regardless, I think it proves a point. So now with Santana, who was also undeniably getting gigantic reactions, he comes in through the crowd every week, and that crowd is popping for him week after week after week. He's putting in these great performances. He took out every member of the system, Moose's team, Moose, Mr. TNA. He took out every one of his guys. He's the only guy in TNA to do that, to beat every member of the system. And now he just took out Josh Alexander, who was, for many, the heart and soul of TNA. So Santana will become TNA World Champion. If they don't, it's because something wrong happened backstage. That's all I could really say on that. But he will become TNA World Champion. It's a matter of how, because Hendry finally won the world title. And logic would dictate a heel would take it off of him. And that's fine eventually, but we're not quite there yet. Kazarian, we'll get into the details of everything, but Kazarian does have that Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy, which, if you're unfamiliar with it, is essentially money in the bank. You could cash in at any time to be and challenge for that world title, whether it's after a grueling 60-minute match or way ahead of time. You could call your shot, but it's probably going to happen sooner than later. Sorry, guys. So I don't see Santana turning heel. I don't see, because he's just so popular right now and he's worked so hard to get over, that I think it would be a mistake for him to win that world title as a heel. But if he's not, that means he's going to have to wait in line for a little bit. But he's been doing a great job of it. He's been killing it, and it'll be worth the wait. It's a much more natural build, in my opinion. But LOL TNA, we'll see. Moving on, if I may, I've definitely kept you guys here long enough. We're going to move over to our next title match of the night, as the TNA Tag Team Championships were on the line as the Hardys defended against the Rascalz. Now, if you're like me or the Rascalz, you grew up loving the Hardys, or were just at some point in your life a fan of the Hardys. Zachary Wentz was so much a fan of Jeff Hardy and the Hardys, he dyed his hair purple and green tonight, like Jeff Hardy did once upon a time. I thought that was a fun bit. I thought that was a nice homage. And these two teams definitely brought a level of respect for one another, although the Hardys, I don't want to say played dirty, but, took some liberties, I'd say, with the rules. But that's not really the big story here. The big story of the match is who came out to watch the match. And no, they didn't have tickets. They were ringside. And that was Fraxium. Oh, Kevin, go for it, man. We're here. Go for it. Just lay it on me when you can. Yep, the Hardys and Fraxium. Ooh, who's my ideal next world champion in AEW? Look, story-wise, it should be Darby Allin. They've set it up perfectly for Darby to be the guy to take the world title off of Mox. It should be his coronation to finally beat Mox. Some would argue it's long overdue for him to be world champion because of how much he bleeds AEW, how over he is, and how good he is. Now, the only thing is, Darby is going to be gone for another few months as he prepares to climb Everest, something that he was supposed to do last year until he broke his foot. I don't know how you feel, but many feel that this Death Rider storyline in AEW is run its course, or is in desperate need of a pivot, or is in desperate need to just finish. I don't know how I feel quite yet, but I do understand the anxiety considering the negative reaction. So, me being the biggest Kenny Omega mark in the world, yep, internationally, biggest Kenny Omega fan right here. I would love it if Kenny won the world title off of Mox, this time as a babyface. Quite frankly, I don't even care the circumstances. Kenny Omega is back. Kenny Omega is the best in the world, period, right now. Period, right now. Period. Period, period. Period. And he deserves to be the final boss of AEW. He's got the new theme music for it and everything. So I would say Kenny would be my personal ideal world champion, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense. But I think Darby is probably the guy. Kevin saying he doubts Darby actually gets it. He thinks the next step is Ospreay or Kenny. I don't think it's Ospreay's time yet, although they've definitely positioned him to be a guy to do it. More than anything, I think it's just silly, the timing with Darby and everything they've done, to not have him be the guy to do it. Even if he loses it immediately to Christian with that contract, like that guaranteed title shot. Rev said maybe Ospreay on Wednesday. That'd be fine. That'd be fine. And if they want to do the trilogy for Kenny and Will, that'd be cool too. I just think there's something iconic about Darby Allin climbing the top of Mount Everest and planting an AEW title up there. It would drive WWE fucking crazy. It'd be hilarious. Kevin, you say these things, and I don't know if you think that we're going to disagree with you, but we're not. Jeff Jarrett, 2025 world champion of professional wrestling. No one's going to argue with you anymore. We're here for it. You see? World champ slap nuts. What a world. But guys, do got to get back to TNA because quite frankly, I am running out of steam here. Pain medication is calling me. It might fucking happen, Kevin. It might. But Fraxium, ringside, watching. Fraxium, the NXT tag team champions, the tag team that sort of surprised everybody with how fucking amazing they are in NXT. Two guys that you would not have expected to have such chemistry, not only do, but got over and just are killing it. They are the NXT tag team champions. And do you know who the number one contenders are for the NXT tag team titles? It's the Rascalz. Yep, they won that number one contender spot back in September. That's crazy. We're in January, guys. September. They won the number one contender spots back in September due to some personal issues. Wesley, former Rascal, getting involved. Those got delayed, but we'll get to that in a second again. This match was fun, lot of what you'd expect. The Hardys, like I said, are working like they're 10, 15 years younger than they actually are. They're still slow. Matt and Jeff are not the kids that they were, but they are still a little bit, they could still move. They're killing it. Matt and Miguel start things off. They're going back and forth. They hit a stalemate. Matt leads the crowd in a delete chant. Jeff tags in. Wentz tags in, and that's when the fun really starts, in my opinion. Jeff takes over. Matt tags in. They hit a big double team spot. Some back and forth action with both men. Eventually, the fight spilling to the outside, where Matt is sort of being confronted by Fraxium. And that leads Trey Miguel to jump to the outside, hoping to hit Matt, but accidentally knocks out Fraxium, accidentally knocks down the NXT Tag Team Champions. He knocks them out of their chairs. Fraxium pop up, get in the face of the Rascalz. They are ejected from ringside. The Hardys go back at it. They hit a twist of fate into a swanton bomb. The Hardys retain their tag team titles. Jesus Christ. I'm not even going to acknowledge it, but wowza. Did Producer Boy leave me already? That's sad. I think he left me. That makes me sad. But yeah, look, I like the Rascalz. I think that's a young team with a lot of upside, a lot of potential. Former tag team champions already. I think at least, definitely once. I think maybe twice. They've got a great future ahead of them. The Hardys are the Hardys. This is one of their last runs. I think this is definitely their last TNA tag title reign. So I want it to count. I want them to make it count. Good night, Kevin. Thank you for joining, pal. Always a pleasure. Much appreciated. Be well. Have a good night. So I want it to matter, but eventually they're going to have to put somebody over, and there aren't a lot of amazing options right now. I know I did talk about their tag division heating up a bit, and it is, but as of right now, there aren't really any teams that naturally feel like they're the heir apparent to those tag titles. But going back to the fact that the Rascalz are the number one contenders for the NXT tag titles, that match is going to happen. And no, it's not going to happen on NXT television. It's going to happen this Thursday on Impact, the first live Impact in 8 years for TNA. All right, I'm feeling it a little bit, guys. I'm getting it. I'm getting why this is a great partnership, or could be a great partnership. Stuff like this is what matters. Having an NXT tag title match on an episode of Impact should bring in a lot of viewers. Ideally, God willing, it'll bring in a lot of interest. If they win, I'm in. If they win, I am super excited. If they win, I am on board with this partnership. Only day one tonight, remember. So, good, fun match. Quick, not super memorable. More happy that it happened than anything else. And very excited for the implications for this Thursday. We'll see. Moving on. We have our final knockouts match of the night. The TNA Knockouts World Title was on the line in an clockwork orange house of fun matchup as Masha Slamovich, the champion, defended against Rosemary. Rosemary, who thought to have this match, as she was convinced by Raven, ECW legend Raven, TNA legend Raven. If you've never seen one of these matchups, I don't really know how to describe it other than pure chaos. I don't know how to describe it other than the fact that it is just violence personified. Every weapon you can imagine is ringside. Ladders, tables, chairs, the usuals. But more than anything, we had a huge return of a weapon tonight as Janice, Abyss's signature weapon back in the day. It is a 2x4 with nails popping out all over. It was just awesome. I don't know how to describe how cool it was to see. I don't know how to properly express, unless you're a longtime TNA fan, how cool it was to see Janice again. Rosemary bringing it to Masha. Masha just slamming on it with a weapon of her own, actually breaking Janice before Rosemary actually just drives Janice and drives it into Masha and beats her down with it. That's terrifying, guys. It's a board with nails. 2x4 with nails. Scary shit. Jeremy, first of all, thank you for stopping by. I completely agree. I've been saying that for a little while, so glad to know I'm not crazy. Thank you for validating my insanity. The Hardys are working in a way that we haven't seen in a while. They were not looking this good in AEW. Maybe the very, very, very end of their AEW run, but it was happening on like Rampage, so nobody saw it. The Hardys are kicking ass right now. Happy that they found a good spot in a place that they're appreciated because the TNA crowd loves them, in a place that they're respected because that company is treating them well, and in a place that is comfortable for them because of their long, long history with TNA, whether broken or not. But guys, it's hard to describe matches like this just because of all the violence to it. Slamovich hits a big stomp onto Rosemary, who's on a barbed wire board. Like, that's the type of stuff that happens in matches like this. It's hard. Overall, the finish comes in the ring as 4 steel chairs are unfolded and are facing each other. Rosemary climbs up to the top where Slamovich stops her and climbs up after her. She then hits a Requiem, which is a pile driver, sort of a package pile. Not really a package pile driver, but like a quick pile driver. She hits that pile driver, that Requiem, off of the top rope through the steel chairs, and then covers her for the pin, retaining her TNA Knockouts World Championship. Now, BX saying he feels like TNA suits their style as older guys because they don't have to do the high spots. You're right, but they are. Like, Jeff dove off of like, you know that when you're a fan in an audience, like that like little entryway into the crowd, and like there will be like the stand above you. Jeff dove off of that through a table through Eddie Edwards at the last pay-per-view. These guys are still operating like the Hardy Boys of yesteryear. Jeremy saying he enjoyed this match for what it was, but truly believes that Slamovich doesn't need to be in matches like this, as she has the ability in the ring to give high spots without it. First of all, great point, Jeremy. Really loving your insight tonight. Thank you so much for dropping those dimes of wisdom. I agree. Masha's a great worker. She's a great worker with the women. She's a great worker with the men. She's had some standout matches against Speedball Mike Bailey in the past. If you're an indie fan. Wait, what? All right, we'll deal with that in a second. Masha's great. She can go and she could work many different styles. She could work a Haas type style like she's done with Jordynn Grace in the past. She could work more of a striker style, which we've seen against Tasha Steelz and Alicia. And then, of course, she could wrestle these hardcore matches. I think the reality is she's wrestling them because she likes them. I think she loves wrestling. I think it's well documented how much Masha loves wrestling. And she just wants, like, she wrestled, I think, almost 200 matches last year, more than 200 matches last year, if I'm not mistaken, which is insane, by the way. That's an insane amount of wrestling for one person in 1 year. And she just goes from indie to indie to indie, TNA, doing everything that she can. And I think she just, this is the type of stuff she wants to do. So I think there's a difference when you're a talent who can only work matches like this versus being a talent who thrives in multiple different types of matches and comes back to this every once in a while. If this becomes what her title reign is, Jeremy, I completely agree with you. If this is just a flavor of her title reign, I'm okay, personally. But great point that you brought up. Thank you for sharing that. Now, what is this that producer boy made a super chat goal that James will take off a piece of clothing before the stream ends? Sorry, I physically can't. I am wrapped up in this thing with my one arm. So sorry, producer boy. Ooh, Jeremy saying that he was at Final Resolution and Jeff Swanton bombed through a table at the fan entrance, and you actually have a piece of that table from the dude. That is so cool. If I could get up right now, I got it up. It's that white thing right there. That's one of Jeff's armbands. I got it at the most recent New York House of Glory show, and as a Jeff Hardy fan for the last 20 plus years, life goal, bucket list item checked off. But that is so friggin' cool. Cherish that. And if you could ever meet Jeff, get him to sign it, because that'd be so cool. And maybe get Eddie to sign it too. But definitely get Jeff if you ever have the opportunity. That's awesome, dude. I don't know if I should, should I let you, are you coming in?
Say his name and he appears.
I believe in the Reverend. So I was kind of waiting for the main event to join, because I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch this, but I saw whatever producer boy did to you, and I had to come in and explain. So yes, if somebody super chats us, you have to take off a piece of clothing.
That makes me feel so cheap. Isn't like a super comment like $2?
Yeah, but he prostituted you out.
I feel dirty.
Yeah. Also, I was gonna join at some point anyway tonight, because guys, James had surgery less than a week ago, and he is going out here for you guys, reviewing motherfucking TNA of all things. So respect this man. He's out here with an ice pack on his shoulder, maybe or maybe not hopped up on Percocets. Legal Percocets. Thank you. With a prescription. And he's still out here for you guys. So respect this man, and shouts to you. I also have breaking news for you, but we can get to that later if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah.
It's your show. We can do that later.
No, but hey,
it is breaking TNA news from GCW.
Is it the PCO stuff?
Yes.
I talked about it at the beginning of the show, unless there was a new development.
Well, him destroying the title?
Yeah.
Then I didn't log on early enough. My bad.
No, you're good. Hey, man, it is still developing. It's fucking crazy.
Okay, so I can give you the SRS report. Is reportedly from SRS a complete 100% shoot.
Holy crap.
So, yeah, he did that on his own shit.
What a way. Guys, I'm sorry. I know we're derailing a little bit. Jeremy, I can't take off the hat. I apologize. I don't know if you were talking to me or if you were talking to Rev. I can't take off the hat right now.
I meant to hang on. I meant to change the thing here. Yeah, the Rev Invades Jimpact.
I can't take off the hat right now for just medical recovery reasons. I am a mess right now, for lack of a better word. I shaved for the first time left-handed yesterday. Everything else is just a mess.
I had to do that when I broke my finger. Not fun.
Oh, dude, it was the slowest shaving experience of my life.
Now, luckily, I was still in high school, and I just used the buzzer for my neck, but not an actual blade, but it's still a pain in the ass. Oh, and I'm fairly ambidextrous too. It still sucks. I've
learned I was practicing in the weeks prior to the surgery, figuring it out, but there are just certain things.
Yeah.
And this is a dead arm. The most I can do is lift it a little bit at the elbow. I can't do much. I can wiggle my fingers quite a bit, but past the elbow, there is nothing. I can't do anything with it.
Oh, no, dude, I know.
Fun times. But
let's hit the main event.
Well, no, we'll wrap up with PCO real quick.
Okay.
I said it earlier. I'm a fan of PCO. I really am a fan of PCO. I respect what that man puts himself through to get over still. I respect that he did it in such a successful way as to actually get over and stay over for quite a bit of time. But this is inexcusable. The report is that his contract was coming up, or not the report. The rumor is that his contract was coming up.
Apparently it's over from what I've read.
He was scheduled to drop the title this Thursday. There has been a mysterious promo that's been going on for like over a month now in TNA. The number 23 keeps popping up, and it keeps popping up during PCO stuff, during Sami Callihan stuff, because that is PCO's partner. What's up, Chris? Welcome. PCO's partner right now is Sami Callihan. They're death meat, according to Santino. And that number 23 just kept showing up. Nobody knows who it is. There's speculation, but nobody's been able to confirm it. So the rumor was that he was going to drop the digital media title on Thursday to 23, whoever that may be. And that ain't happening now. They are not bringing him in for that.
All right, so the report from Fightful is those we spoke to in GCW claimed PCO went into business for himself. TNA sources claimed they were shocked and said that he was not supposed to finish up, that he was supposed to finish up at the next set of tapings in San Antonio. His contract expired at the end of the year. He is not expected back as things stand. So
that's crazy.
For a guy, from what I can tell, from what you tell me, and from what I usually see on TV, he seems like a pretty stand-up guy. This seems fairly out of character for him, but
I agree.
I don't know TNA as well as you do, and the TNA talent. It's a bit of a weird move. And Chris bringing up the point, he's 57, and I get that. There we go. Good click there. He's 57 years old. You would think normally somebody would understand the ins and outs and do the business the right way at that point. But I genuinely am curious what happened backstage. As Matt's coming in, I don't know where from, but he was at the show tonight. If he actually
I feel like Patrick Starr right now. Who are you people?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Matt. Try not to be too much of a dick to the people on the train, but
it's an empty train, and we're at the end of the car. Say hi, Ben.
Hi. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
I just wanted to chime in because it was crazy. PCO just is just like, he takes the title out, he puts it on the chair, and he starts slamming it with a sledgehammer, and then he's like going off on the mic, and it looked like they were trying to take the mic away. And what's up?
Oh no, sorry, I was making a. Keep going.
Yeah, it was unexpected, and just I didn't know what to make of it. I'm like, is this a work? Is this shoot? I should have gotten a clip of the title, because the title is pretty heavily dented.
Yeah, we saw in the video from the pay-per-view that it looked fucked up. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna believe GCW on this one, that this was not a work, because they legitimately looked like they were either trying to stop him or they were trying to block people from seeing it. So, granted, maybe they should have diverted the camera a lot earlier. Maybe they should have not allowed that on TV at all. But at the same time, like, it's not their title, and it's going to get people talking. So GCW has enough problems right now with some of the bigger companies. They're definitely not AEW's big friend right now, although I think that's getting cooled over a little bit. But it'd be a shame if... What?
Brett Lauderdale also made some incendiary comments about AEW, some backhanded comments during the kickoff. I'm going to let you guys do your show, but it was a mixed bag of a show tonight. I hate to say it because, we were there, we were invited to cover it. There was some highs, some lows. I hope TNA was better. I'll watch your guys' review.
It was a good show. It was a good show, and anybody from the pod who wants to watch it, I'll send you the link. But yeah, man, thank you for stopping by. Be safe. I know it's still snowing out there, so be careful. But I'm glad that you went out. I know you said it was a bit of a mixed bag, but I hope you did enjoy yourself. And maybe we'll cover it in the next day or two.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Love to talk about it more in detail. But this is the TNA review, not the GCW review. So stay tuned for that. And I will leave you guys with it. And I won't press the end button. I'll just press X out of StreamYard.
There you go. Thank you, Matt.
Fucking reporting Matt on the scene.
Yep. Most dedicated team in podcast wrestling. The Mark It Down boys.
See, we can actually get media passes when we actually report from the scene.
Yeah.
So this is how it works.
Oh, yeah.
A little inside baseball for you guys. Honestly, though, so from what I've been reading, though, James, really quick, just to wrap this up, I read there was like a sledgehammer lying around. So I do think this was a shoot. Everybody says it's a shoot. I think that GCW definitely doesn't want that smoke. So I don't know what the hell PCO is up to, but I guess we'll have to see what comes out in the next day or two.
And look, I think the bigger thing is here, nobody benefits from this except for GCW, who's getting a little bit of press through it. But TNA doesn't benefit from this in any real way. PCO absolutely does not benefit from this in any real way. And the reality is, TNA really did take care of PCO. There is no other company that makes sense for PCO with their schedule of like.
I only know him because of you and TNA.
Yep.
I know him because of you and TNA.
When he created the PCO character, it was on the Indies, and then he got signed to Ring of Honor, like obviously Tony Khan Ring of Honor, and then he moved over to TNA. And TNA again made the most sense. This is a company that shoots twice a month. Let him work those 2 dates. You know, it's better for your old body. And at this point, he was never PCO in WWE. He was one of the Quebecers.
Wait, he was a Quebecer?
Yeah.
I never actually looked him up. Damn.
Yeah. he was a Quebecer. And like him going to WWE, like they're not going to want a 57-year-old new guy. They're not going to want that. And it doesn't pay for like a cameo appearance anywhere else. And maybe AEW could still take him, but why would they?
You can't trust him right now.
Exactly. So terrible way to potentially end a very memorable character and a very memorable run for this legend. Like he is a legend. He's a veteran. So
yeah, very disappointing.
Very disappointing. And quite frankly, the Digital Media Championship has always sort of been in a rough spot for TNA, other than like the first 2 to 3 champions. So it's like, maybe this is time to retire that belt anyway. But woof, what a way to go. Whatever. PCO. Disappointed.
You know what's funny? I would kind of expect Scott D'Amore to make the most of it, but I don't know who's currently booking TNA. I'm sure you can tell me that in 2 seconds, but depending on who it is,
it's apparently Anthem execs, like Anthem TV execs, which is disappointing. Yeah.
If it was somebody I trusted, they could make, lemonade out of the lemons they were just given.
Yeah.
D'Amore being the top of that list, but and shit, even if it was like, I would trust Santino to make a decent play out of this, but Anthem execs, random, corporate douches, who knows?
Santino actually had a really awkward moment tonight. Like I was like, oh boy, like we're seeing the wizard behind the curtain a little bit in Oz. I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know if you could hear that, but
no, it didn't come across here.
Thank God that's outside.
You know what's funny? The only thing I can actually hear is the echo of you on my TV in the living room because I forgot to mute the TV before I came over here. So I'm just hearing you and me like yell through my living room.
That's funny.
You got Jeremy there in the chat?
Let's see. What's
I'll bring
Jeremy
up
saying?
Jeremy saying when they put that title on PCO is when the title died.
I actually don't disagree with you, because when he won the title, it was sort of lesser because of the feud that he was having with AJ Francis with Top Dollar. It became about that other belt that he had, the Canadian International Heavyweight Championship. Now, that is a real championship. That is a real championship. That is a belt that was out of circulation for quite some time. AJ Francis, I think, legitimately bought it to incorporate it into the feud. And it was a belt that PCO always wanted to win. So when they feuded, PCO won both belts, the Canadian International Wrestling Championship and the TNA Digital Media Championship. None of it made sense. I think at some point PCO was supposed to have dropped the Digital Media Championship to Matt Cardona because he was married to Steph DeLander. But when Steph had to go out because of her neck surgery, I think it just put the kibosh on the entire storyline. But weird shit. This is just a bizarre story. And I really, until more comes out, I don't really know what more there is I could add on it. Jeremy saying PCO should not hold the title at his age. He is subpar in the ring and is just unenjoyable to see in the ring now. Look, it's always painful to say it, but it's true. PCO is slowed down quite a bit. He's still hitting these massive spots, but that's all he is. He's a spot fest. He hits the PCO salt, which is a moonsault off the top rope. He hits the senton onto the ring apron that he almost always misses and is always fucking dangerous. Is always really scary to see. And he hits like his big choke slams and stuff, or does weapon spots. But basically, since his feud with Steve Maclin for the World Championship, he just hasn't been able to go at the same level. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation.
And I mean, a lot of times when guys get older like that, they end up doing, weirdly enough, the hardcore style stuff ends up being a lot easier because they don't have to take a lot of the bumps.
Yeah.
You can just end up like punching each other for the entire match, and then you take like 2 or 3 bumps and then you're fine. They're usually bigger. I mean, you can look at the Sting, entirety of the Sting AEW run as an example. And PCO, from what I understand from TNA, was doing something similar where it was a lot of hardcore matches, if I'm not wrong.
Mostly.
So, exactly. So, yeah, he was subpar. I can understand him getting a title like the digital media title just because it's not a big one. And, I guess he was over enough and it kind of worked out. But this is something I'm very interested to see what comes from it, just because I haven't seen a veteran act this way in a very long time.
Yeah,
so
no,
I'm very curious to see how that goes.
Very bizarre. Finishing up on the Masha and Rosemary matchup. There you go. Thank you. After the match, after the destruction and after the just unmitigated violence, I know I said that Santana and Alexander went to war. These two women beat the crap out of each other. Just absolute brutality. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Equal opportunity violence. After the match, Masha Slamovich is confronted by an NXT star, none other than Cora Jade. Cora Jade walks that down, gets in the ring, and confronts Masha, who simply smiles and raises her title high in the air in front of her. Both women exchange glances, and that is the end of that. Now, this follows up Masha showing up on NXT this last Tuesday with the Knockouts title in hand. So, big things, big matchup. I'm going to be disappointed if Masha drops to Cora, who I really do enjoy. I know some people in our pod aren't the biggest Cora Jade fans, or aren't completely sold on her, but I think Cora has developed very well. Not a bonk, I promise. And
Chris had it.
Yeah, Chris, you did have it. Cora Jade showing up in TNA. I could see them doing the title switch for the simple point of Cora's a big name who draws attention, and they wouldn't want to do it that way. I could also see it being sort of a trade. If the Rascalz end up winning the NXT tag titles, a WWE star and NXT star will have a TNA title in the Knockouts title. It's not ideal, but I could see it happening.
So I feel like we're going to talk about this crossover a bit. I would hope this goes both ways then.
Yes.
Because in the early parts of the initial NXT TNA crossover, and you've talked about this a lot, and I agree with you, a lot of it was NXT getting a lot of the benefit. And if a couple of NXT stars are going to win TNA titles, I would hope a couple of TNA stars win at least NXT titles, if not WWE titles. I don't know if they would, but hopefully they can win a couple just so it's a much more beneficial crossover for both sides as opposed to what it's been, which was very lopsided, I think, towards NXT.
I'd agree. Up until the announcement, again, as far as I'm concerned, I'm treating today as day one of this partnership. Fresh slate as far as I'm concerned. Prior to the announcement, prior to today, I'd say that the partnership or the exchange that they'd had was pretty heavily leaned in NXT's favor, in WWE's favor. I'd say NXT benefited a lot more than TNA did. And people might disagree with me, but it's not like the ratings really went up for TNA. It's not like there was a big needle mover that went over to TNA. But, NXT got Joe Hendry. Like I mentioned earlier, they got Joe Hendry. They got Jordynn Grace. They got the Rascalz. They got Rosemary. They got Frankie Kazarian. They got big names out of that. So hopefully, hey, tonight we got Fraxium, who are one of the most entertaining tag teams in all of professional wrestling right now. And we have Cora Jade, who is a very, very popular I almost said diva. I know, right? Although I think she'd relish in the title a little bit.
Her and Chelsea.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'll blame the drugs, though.
Thank you.
James having flashbacks to 2005.
God, I am in and out. I'm
like
quantum leaping. Yeah, man, good first night for the crossover. I think they did a decent job. Again, TNA, Mark Henry, Cora Jade, Fraxium, Ariana Grace. Relevant names from WWE and the NXT scene.
Mark Henry showing up when he became a popular meme for TikTok coming back with the retirement thing was a very serendipitous thing. I do want to talk in the comments really quick. Chris, saying he wouldn't mind if Cora beat Masha for the TNA Knockout World title. I don't know. I feel like if I know NXT enough, Cora's current storyline is she's not winning the titles. So I think she would probably end up losing that match. Jeremy saying, I've been wondering, could we be seeing a cross-promotional title like TNA WWE Women's title, as they've said they've been doing cross PLEs and pay-per-views? So hopefully, I would think, James, hopefully, like we said, a couple of cross titles, people winning the titles from other companies, and we can end up with that.
I think what Jeremy's saying is a title specifically for WWE and TNA to share.
Oh.
I think that's what Jeremy was implying. I wouldn't hate. Yeah, it's tough because you're booking by committee at that point. You're booking by with a lot of different agendas at play. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would be fascinated by it. Rev and I have been big proponents of floating titles for a long time now. Like in AEW, we wanted the international title to be a floating title that went from company to company.
Which is not really gone from company to company in terms of people losing it, but in terms of defending it.
Yes. So again, I'd be cool with it. I don't see it happening. I think we're going to be seeing just a lot of crossover in terms of who wins what.
Yeah, that's what Jeremy's saying. He thinks it's a great push for TNA and grow the brand and the wrestlers more.
The only reason I would really truly want to see it, other than the fascination of how they would get it done, I would love to see a title that's actually branded NXT NA. You know, like if you put that on a belt, I might buy that. I might legitimately go to the store and buy it.
Like the logo is like the half of the T is the NXT, and then the other half is the T of the TNA.
Yep.
I'm sure some like belt forger, for lack of a better phrase, could make a really good one.
That'd be pretty awesome. That'd be pretty awesome. So Jeremy, keep throwing out ideas because I'm liking the cut of your jib. I'm liking what you're selling.
I will say this, and I've brought this up a couple times on the pod. I've been reading the Wrestler Observer rewinds from the 90s, and shout out to Price over on Square Circle, and reading how any of those companies, WCW, ECW, and WWF at the time, used to try to deal with other companies, whether it was within America. A lot of times it was either Smoky Mountain Wrestling, which was Cornette's old place, or the King's Place down in Memphis, or New Japan, or All Japan, or whatever it was over in Japan. Trying to book stuff between multiple companies is impossible. It's not impossible, absolutely, but it's very difficult because there's a lot of give and take of, I can't have this guy lose. I can't have that guy lose. I can't, now it's, I can't have this woman lose. I can't have that woman lose. And you want to put together some of the biggest matches you can while also protecting your people. And it's not like it was back in the day where, in the 90s, the only people who knew what was going on in Japan were those super dorks on, the internet, who went on, the forums back in the day. Now everything is all over the place at all times. So it's even harder to protect your people now in other companies. And
absolutely.
So I trust that Triple H and Shawn Michaels and whoever the hell is running TNA will be able to do a good job here. I don't think they would go into this merger, not merger, but into this agreement, were they not confident they could do that. But I'm very curious to see how they do that, because 9 times out of 10 is, let's throw our jobber at your top star and vice versa. And a lot of the times when the top stars meet, there's shenanigans that are involved. So I would love to see title changes between the two companies. I would temper my expectations.
Chris in the comments bringing up a really fun option. If Cora doesn't beat Masha for the Knockouts World title, he suggests Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez versus Spitfire for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships. I would sign on for that right now, right this second. Not a moment of hesitation, Chris.
That'd be fun.
Great concept. That Knockouts Tag division is slam right now, and we could definitely beef it up a little bit.
And I think BX threw it in the comments earlier that the best thing coming from this crossover is the NXT women's division going up against the Knockouts division. Yep. Because those are probably the top 2 women's divisions in American wrestling right now.
I would agree. I would strongly agree. Jeremy bringing up a great point, and my major fears since the first appearances of these crossovers, I just don't want to see WWE treat NXT like AAA and TNA like AA, like in baseball. Yes. And unfortunately, unless I'm very much proven wrong, in the long run, that's what this is going to be. Because if you look at it right now, and this is just objectivity. This is just objectivity, no bias on my part. We're having the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Masha Slamovich, now feuding with an NXT talent. And this is not an NXT like the Black and Gold later years, where it was a super indie. This is NXT, the developmental brand. And that's not a knock. If I'm going to be very honest with you, I think NXT right now is firing on all cylinders.
And they are on cable television.
They are. They're getting great views.
It's a big deal, you know?
Absolutely.
Not broadcast television. Excuse me. Cable is different. Cable you got to pay for. Broadcast is free. I would know. I have the antenna.
But say what you will about views, say what you will about attendance figures or whatever that may be. The reality is TNA is the number 3 major promotion in North America. And granted, there's a big gap between 2 and 3. Just like there's a pretty decent gap between 1 and 2. There's a pretty decent gap between 2 and 3. But TNA is recognized as a major wrestling promotion in North America and in the world. And what you're saying is your best, because if you're the world champion of your brand, of your division, you're the best of your brand, the best of your division. You're saying that the best of your brand is on par with developmental of WWE. Now, do we understand that WWE is so much bigger than TNA? Of course we do. We're not silly. We're not blind or ignorant. But if you want to present yourself as a major promotion, you don't want to appear to be major promotion. You don't want to appear.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate it. You don't want to appear to be equal to their lesser. And that's not a knock on NXT. Please, I'm not knocking NXT.
Which they better say his name and he better appear at the fucking Royal Rumble.
All right, so something big happened in the matchup that
I've been saving that for when you were going through the main event, which we should get to.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it.
I joined and I highly sidelined you or sidetracked you.
You're good. I think we added like 30 minutes to this, and I don't mind at all. This has been great.
Producer boy is fuming somewhere.
We'll talk inside baseball afterwards, but he better not, because this has been great. At least give us better than AEW with New Japan. Wrestle Dynasty was just AEW. I am a little conflicted on that one, Jeremy. We both covered it.
Yeah, I think I would disagree.
Yeah, I think I would disagree too. Jeremy, if you want, I'm not trying to plug, not trying to mindlessly shill us, but we did cover Wrestle Dynasty along with Wrestle Kingdom. So if after this video you want to go check out our thoughts on that, please, that'd be great. I agree that for a show that was promoted as multi, like CMLL, Stardom, Ring of Honor, they were all like hyped up to be a part of the show. AEW was definitely the biggest presence of them all on that New Japan show, but I wouldn't say that it was an AEW show. I would say it was a New Japan show that featured AEW stars. But that's me personally.
Yeah, I think if it was an AEW show, the presentation would have been a lot different.
Yes, I'd agree. And a lot of different winners there would have been.
Yeah. It was New Japan's Forbidden Door.
Yes, I would agree to that. I would strongly agree with that. And this was the first one.
Yeah.
So let's see how that evolves over time. But very excited to see Cora Jade and Masha Slamovich go at it. I think we will see that grow this Tuesday on NXT, just like I think we'll see it grow on Thursday on Impact. So let's see what we could look forward to these two Tuesday, Thursday T days of the week. Moving on to our main event.
Say his name and he appears.
I can't clap, so I can snap.
I know. I'm not to get us taken down either.
So before we get into that, and I was talking about it, that Santino had a weird moment. TNA needed to vamp for a little bit, and it was very awkward as they were clearing the ring in ringside from the knockouts match Masha and Rosemary, and they needed to get all the debris, all the weapons, all the props out of there. They were very clearly unprepared to deal with it, as they brought out Santino, Gia Miller, Dave LaGreca, Mark Henry, Tommy Dreamer. And initially the mic doesn't work, and because I guess they were unprepared. And you hear Gia Miller on the mic, whether it was like she was mic'd up here or over like her mic, telling Santino to go. It's time. We're on. Go, go, go. And you're hearing her giving him direction. And he's getting agitated. He's like, well, my mic's not working. I can't. And then eventually it works. And he just goes into the character. And eventually he's interrupted by Ryan Nemeth, who's the little brother. You'll get it in a bit. The little brother of his big brother, Nick Nemeth. It's this whole thing right now. And Ryan just continues to shill for his big brother, Nick Nemeth. And eventually Santino just gets agitated with him, throws him out of the building. But I had to listen to it like 7 times because I would bet my bottom dollar, I think he called Ryan Nemeth fuckface. And I the best that I could hear is funk face. Like that's the only thing that it could maybe be that isn't fuck face.
Was it in the Italian accent?
Yes.
That makes it all the better.
And I don't know what the funk that was.
For the record, this was unintentional. It was just the closest jersey I had.
I'm not going to.
I'm so happy I wore it now, though.
Oh, Jeremy, thank you so much. You listen to us a lot when you're training for your shows. That's awesome. We appreciate you, Jeremy. Thank you so much. And we hope we don't bore you too much.
We hope you do well in your shows, whatever they may be.
Yep. But Mark Henry during this he gets on because Santino asks the entire group who's going to win tonight. Gia says, I think it could be either Joe Hendry or Nick Nemeth. And it was adorable. Mark Henry says, I'm waving my flag for Joe Hendry, but I'll see you guys after the show to sign autographs.
Oh, he didn't say it was time for the main event.
He did not. Oh. And LaGreca was strong for Nemeth, which makes sense because they host Busted Open together. Mm-hmm. But it was just a bizarre bit. Like the fact that they didn't think ahead of time to have something prepared or have something ready. Just pretty bad, guys. Pretty bad. Pretty LOL TNA. Ooh, let's hype this up for Jeremy. If anyone watching is ever around the Atlanta area, go watch him at Forever Pro Wrestling. Love supporting indie wrestling, love supporting local promotions or even somewhat far away promotions from us. But Jeremy, we will definitely check you out. I think I'm actually due for a trip to Atlanta sooner than later. So we'll talk, all right? Hit us up on social media.
FP dub.
Hit us up on social media, man. Not to be a shill again, but our tags are at the bottom. Right now they're covered by the tracker. But hit us up on like Instagram or something and we'll talk, okay? But thank you for the invite. But yeah, back to the main event. Finally, Joe Hendry challenging Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, let me tell you, this was a match. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was a match. Especially on a show like the one we got tonight, where there was so much action, so much intensity. This felt like a match that they had because they knew the moment would be big enough that it didn't matter what the match was that preceded it. Both men are baby faces, essentially. So it was a weird dynamic coming into it. I can't even really say that Nick Nemeth leaned heel at any point. Like, he was condescending from time to time as champ, but like it was never like, wow, you're an asshole. So it's been a weird feud. His brother, Ryan Nemeth, has been the heel in this, which is a good way of dealing with it. But even then, he was inconsequential to the ending of the match. Again, there's not really much to discuss with the match. I'm not trying to bury it. I'm not trying to shit on it, guys. I apologize. It was a pretty standard wrestling match. The highlights being near the end, Hendry hits his standing ovation finish onto Nemeth, and Nemeth kicks out of it, which is, I think, a first in TNA. I don't recall seeing anybody kicking out of a standing ovation before. And then after kicking out of that, Nemeth then hits a big super kick onto Hendry, and then hits the danger zone, or the zigzag if you're a WWE fan.
Lana, danger zone.
First of all, I love you for the Archer reference.
You're welcome.
Second, it goes through my head every fucking time.
That's what I'm here for.
He hits the danger zone, and Hendry kicks out. At this point, Ryan Nemeth comes out, showing that he bought a ticket for the show. And it was funny how commentary needed to cover it, because they kept saying this sold out show, but then needed to say that he was able to buy a ticket anyway, even though it was sold out.
I will say, I've seen the pictures. It was a very packed house there.
Oh no, I'm sure it was. I wouldn't be shocked if it was a near sellout or an actual sellout.
It was. You can check on Square Circle over on Reddit. There's a picture of a basically packed house. And shout out to them. That's honestly, it was a packed arena. I'm very excited. I'm gonna cross over a little bit here. That's the kind of arena I want AEW to run on a weekly basis. So
I agree.
We know. I think it was in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. We know Dallas sells. I almost put on my Cowboys jersey, but fuck the Cowboys.
Tom Hannafin. So when Ash and Heather by Elegance came out in their Dallas Cowgirls cheerleaders outfits.
I heard you talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Hannafin, who is a huge football fan, goes on. He's like, what division are they in? NFC
East.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was like, they're probably the most inconsequential team in the NFC East division. But anyway, whatever. And,
I'm going to annoy a lot of people. It's the Giants right now. Sorry to all of my friends who are Giants fans. But that being said, the other two teams in the NFC East are currently in the NFC Championship game. So
Hannafin's from Philly. So I think he's an Eagles fan.
Yeah, they won today.
Do they have like a thing against the Cowboys?
Yeah, dude. So, all right.
Do it. Go for it.
I don't know how you not know this, and you're in my fantasy football league. It's the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Commanders.
Okay.
Previously owned by other names. They're all in a single division. They all hate each other.
Okay.
A lot.
Fair enough.
That being said, I have a Cowboys jersey. I hate the Cowboys with a passion. The only reason I have it is because of Deion Sanders, and I found a thrift shop for $20.
Admittedly, and
I bought it on principle.
you know this because of our fantasy time together. I'm a slut for Dak.
Oh no! I've loved Dak since he was at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So,
Jesus. Regardless, let's get back. But I thought that was a funny line.
Shout out my man Tom Hannafin, by the way.
Tom's awesome.
TNA, honestly, like there was a long time where I didn't watch TNA because of their commentary.
It was terrible.
Every time I tune in now, I'm happy. I got Hannafin and my man from the Vaudevillains.
Yeah, Aiden English, now Matthew Waywald, who
you.
I think has really developed, by the way, as an announcer in his own right, too. So they have great chemistry.
I haven't watched it a lot, like, recently, and even, like, even a year ago probably was the last time I really watched. And I know I'm on a TNA fucking review saying I haven't watched him in a year. But he was good back then. So if he's improved, God, but they probably have one of the better booths then.
Yeah, I'd say so. Again, just like everything with TNA, very consistent.
Yeah. I think, honestly, we are in a bit of a renaissance of booths just in general.
It's true. Unless you're Corey Graves.
that's a whole different fucking story. That we don't have time for.
Yeah, no, that's a different episode.
Now, but if you look at AEW, WWE, and TNA, there's a lot of very good booths right now.
No, so. I'd agree. I don't think there's a weak booth across the board.
Yeah, maybe House of Glory, but we won't go there either.
I don't think I can get mad right now.
Causing problems.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this main event.
Yeah. So after both men hit their finishers and respectively kick out of each other's finishers, Ryan Nemeth comes out. And he shows that he has a ticket to the show. Fair enough. At this point, both men are down, and out comes Frankie Kazarian. Frankie Kazarian comes out with his Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy. He puts it into the corner, and he looks like he is about to call his shot. It looks like he is about to enact his clause and make this a triple threat and pick the bones of the champion and challenger. When out comes, you guessed it, John Bradshaw Layfield. JBL comes out once again, grabs Frankie Kazarian by the wrist, and hits a massive clothesline from hell. As he walks out, he punches Ryan Nemeth straight in the face, knocking him out, and then walks right back out through the crowd. It's at this point the action picks up once again. Man, I love the relationship between Sami Zayn and El Generico. But anyway, sorry guys, if you're inside wrestling talk, if you're in the comments right now, which by the way, let's acknowledge, BX saying stop causing problems, or he can't help it. Let's go to Jeremy's comment real quick. Nemeth said he wants to fight Omega and Tanahashi in December. Could we see a jump over to AEW as he doesn't have a long contract? We'll talk about that in 1 second, okay?
Yeah, I'll say definitely something we got to come back to. But
yeah, great question.
Let's finish the end of the match here.
At this point, both men pick it up again. Hendry gets his energy, gets going, hits a massive fall-away slam, just absolutely chucking Nemeth across the ring, setting him up for another standing ovation, hits it, 1, 2, 3, and with that, Joe Hendry is finally our TNA World Champion.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Beautiful. There was one spot that I did want to talk about.
Wait. I didn't know it was going to come in at that point. I was expecting to say his name again, but it worked out.
There was one point in the match that I did want to talk about. We're doing our best not to cover move by move anymore, guys. We're just trying to cover the big stuff. Hendry hit a pretty big move in the match, a move that some people couldn't see, a move that was that belongs to a guy that Hendry's been wanting to wrestle for quite some time. Joe Hendry hit an AA.
Did he really?
He hit an attitude adjustment onto Nick Nemeth. And I am very much of the belief we're going to see the TNA World Champion, Joe Hendry, in the Royal Rumble on February 1st. And Hendry has been clamoring for a match with Cena. He really wants to be part of the farewell tour. I don't know if that's going to happen. I do see them interacting in the Rumble. If they don't, it's a waste.
I think that's the play.
Yeah,
like I said, I think TNA pushed off Hendry winning the Rumble because he was so hot when he was in the initial NXT run.
Yeah.
Like that was his peak at the time, like crossover wise.
Yeah.
And they let it go. And it was very stupid, I thought.
I agree.
But now he has a title. He just won again. They can push it. And it has to be at the Rumble. And he has to interact with Cena. That's the way you do this. That is the number one way you put over Hendry and you put over TNA and you get him his moment that he's wanted for his entire career.
I'd agree. Look, the same way we argued, not you and I, but people in general have argued whether or not Cody could have won the title at 39 and would it have made too much of a difference, I think that argument is even more prevalent with Hendry. I think he could have won it at Bound for Glory back in October. And I think he could have been champion all this time going into the Rumble. And I think he'd be a little bit hotter because of it.
Maybe.
I think some people kind of, unfortunately, fell off the Hendry train a little bit. And you know what? That's fine. Sometimes you don't want the meme followers just because they're meme followers. But
we're back on the bandwagon, baby. Let's go.
On the bandwagon, baby. Some of us never left. Some of us have been here since I don't want to say I'm day one because I know some people who knew local hero Joe Hendry.
Oh, I'm a local hero Joe Hendry guy.
They acknowledged it 2 weeks ago on TNA, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. But I digress.
The Drew McIntyre Joe Hendry.
Yes.
I'm Drew. Dabba-dee, dabba-da.
Guys, this was TNA Genesis. I think this was a fantastic pay-per-view. And quite frankly, I think this is a string of great pay-per-views in 2025. TNA, New Japan had Wrestle Kingdom, AEW, New Japan, everybody had Wrestle Dynasty. I don't think WWE's had a pay-per-view yet in January. We're getting the Rumble in February 1st.
Yep, finally not on my birthday weekend. Thank you, Triple H.
If we can, let's see if we can get together.
Yeah. I'm going out Saturday night. You can just, if your shoulder's up for it.
And now TNA has Genesis. So if you're a wrestling fan right now in 2025, we're eating good, kids. It has been, it has been a good time to be a wrestling fan. It has been a rewarding time to be a wrestling fan, no matter where you're watching. Yep, that's true. WWE has Saturday Night Main Event coming up on the 25th. So this coming Saturday.
Oh, so all right, so my birthday.
Yeah.
All right, so you can't come. You gotta cover it. I'm going.
Oh no, I'm not going. No, I am unfortunately, because I buy these tickets so far in advance. I am going to have to be heavily medicated. I'm going to be at House of Glory on Saturday.
Oh right, I'm not going because Kent is going to be there.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would not be shocked. After tonight's match, and if Hog incorporates it, you have a good argument that Kenta might actually win that fucking world title. I doubt it.
He's facing Santana
for the world title, yeah.
Man, I wasn't busy.
I know, man. But hey, you're going to be celebrating everybody. I was waiting until the end of the pod. Everybody. Because you'll see him on Wednesday. But everybody who's here right now, let's wish Rev a happy, happy birthday. We can't sing the song for copyright reasons.
No, it went to public domain.
Public
you're
domain?
Good now. Yeah, you're good now.
All right, we'll
save it for Wednesday.
We'll save it for Wednesday.
Yeah.
But everybody wish Rev
technically my birthday is not till next Monday, so not tomorrow, the next Monday.
Yeah, no, I figured.
Wait, James, I'm gonna hijack the show one more time.
Please.
Is slightly TNA related.
Okay.
But Christopher Daniels did have his retirement match on Collision the other day. And considering he is such a TNA legend, I figured this would be a good opportunity for you to talk about what he meant to TNA and what he meant to wrestling, at least to you.
Christopher Daniels is an all-time great. His fingerprints are on a lot of the modern wrestling scene. If you are a wrestler today, you probably have been inspired by Christopher Daniels in some way. At one point, rumored to be the higher power of the Ministry of Darkness in WWE, a longtime TNA star, a longtime Ring of Honor star, and a star of AEW as well. Many would argue Christopher Daniels is one of TNA's biggest fumbles, that TNA should have absolutely made Daniels a world champion at some point. Following AJ Styles, following Samoa Joe, he should have followed through and also have become world champion at some point, and that there were opportunities that they should have done it. A pioneer of the X Division, having arguably one of the greatest triple threats of all time against Samoa Joe and AJ Styles in main eventing pay-per-views, which was unheard of for the X Division at that time. Daniels is going to be missed in the ring. He has served his time. He has put in the work, and he deserves to rest now. I very much want Hangman to incorporate the Angel's Wings into his moveset. I know we're not supposed to say that word. Sorry, Phil.
I did like he used it on Saturday, as well as apparently he did the swerve stomp too.
Yeah, that's fucked. That's fucked.
So I don't know if it was 100% him, but he did put Daniels through a table with the swerve stomp. But he did use the Angel's Wing later in the match.
It was after the match. He put him down.
After. Oh, okay. I
think, actually. I don't know. It might have been during the match.
I only saw the highlights, so I could be wrong. The highlights of him using other people's moves. Man, I really got to watch Collision.
Yeah, dude, it's for the sickos, but I really want to watch it.
I am a sicko.
Jeremy saying Daniels versus Styles feuds will go down as top 10 feud of all time due to the X Division. Dude, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. Those two had wars for years.
I mean it with respect. The sickos will absolutely argue that, and they're absolutely right. Because the sickos are usually right.
But yeah, Christopher Daniels, X Division champion, tag team champion, main eventer for TNA, should have been a world champion at some point. Thank you for all you've done, and we hope that you continue to work with AEW behind the scenes, and we hope you enjoy retirement.
And we appreciate that every time you go to a town, it is by far the worst town you have ever been in. Except LA.
Well said. Let's see. We got this comment. DGN. TNA pay-per-view is better. Not that long of a pay-per-view, but AEW pay-per-views are too long for me. Do we agree?
They're long.
They're long. Yeah.
AEW pay-per-views are long, but they just slap.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if it doesn't deliver, it's gonna feel like it's too long. But AEW pay-per-views tend to deliver, so it makes it way more bearable to get through that time.
They hit at a 98% clip.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's a company in the world right now that does pay-per-views better than AEW. Like, say what you will about the weekly product, say what you will about the overall product. I don't think there's a wrestling company that's knocking it out like AEW is on pay-per-view. Let's see. Jeremy saying, I watched the Daniels versus Styles Iron Man match earlier tonight. Also, Daniels is staying on his talent relations. That's awesome. So I'm happy to hear it. And yeah that's a great matchup.
He's sticking around.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that. I don't know I know some of the earlier TNA matches just from their fame. I know about that Joe Daniels Styles triple threat match. That is one of the greatest matches. I believe Daniels said after his match, that's the one he wants to be remembered for. I've heard Styles say something similar, and it is one of the best matches of all time. Funny enough, I believe Styles said that they had another 4 or 5 minutes, and they accidentally went home early.
Oh, that's fun. Wow. Can you imagine?
I think he said it to CVV. So imagine, if they went another 5 minutes. So, and it's still one of the best matches ever. That TNA X Division back then remade wrestling.
Absolutely.
On the low, but it really did. And Daniels was a part of that. So the man definitely a pioneer. And so shouts to him. I hope he enjoys the retirement. Oral Report said that he wanted it to be a little quiet, but he was very emotional backstage after the Hangman match. So I hope you enjoy the match. I've only heard good things about it. I'm going to have to go watch it. No, I'm going to go watch it after this. I always say that.
Go do it.
I have nothing better to do. I've been playing freaking Pokemon Coliseum. I'm going to go watch that instead.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, brother.
And don't let your memes be memes.
Maria in the comments saying she thinks Jordynn Grace is going to win the Rumble and challenge Rhea.
You're out to God's ears.
Love that. First of all,
wait, can I say big meaty women slapping me? Is that
absolutely.
All right, good.
We had a Hosset fight in the gauntlet match that the women had on Dynamite, and we're just seeing these meaty women just slapping each other's meat, and it's fantastic. And we say it respectfully. We say it respectfully.
No, I think that it's equal opportunities. We say big meaty men slapping me. We gotta say big meaty women slapping me.
No, absolutely. I would love that. Like, no silliness, not being funny. I think that would be fantastic.
It would be banana lanes and put Jordynn over something fierce.
Absolutely. Win or lose against Rhea, although I'd be rooting for her to win. I think it would be fantastic. And I think it would be a match that if they don't rush it and they decide to wait on it, it's going to be a big match no matter what. So good option right there.
That being said, if you do want to if they sign Jordynn and you want to shotgun her, because she could come in at AJ Styles levels of you can book her into the title straight out of the gate.
I agree.
If you want to do it that way, you could do it that way. It would be an immediate shock and it would be awesome. And especially, when was the last time somebody came in as a new signee and a legitimate new signee and won the Rumble?
Never.
Exactly.
To my knowledge, never. So that would be awesome. And I great idea there.
So if I'm like Flair would be, I don't think he won it. Did he win the Rumble?
He won the 92 Rumble, I believe.
Was that when he was still like, when he left WCW and was holding their title, even though he wasn't supposed to be? Was that? Because that might have been the only other. That might have been the only other thing.
Yeah, I think so.
They avoided the Hogan thing, so this would be the legitimate, real first one, I would think.
Yeah, I think you'd be right. Quick moment before we continue with the comments. We will continue with the comments. We just want to send our best to Allie Catch, who wrestled at GCW tonight. It's been reported by Stephanie DeLander, who went to the hospital with her, that Allie broke her leg in 2 places. Ow. So that's going to be a tough recovery. That's going to be a tough road back. But Allie, you're tough. You're awesome. You were a pleasure to interact with at House of Glory at this last show in New York. And even if you weren't, we'd still be rooting for you. But by all means,
she was really cool about it.
Yeah. Wish you the best. And you're a warrior. You got this. You got this. So wishing Allie Catch the best. Everybody go check her out on social media. Allie Catch, send her your love. DGN saying, hopefully AEW Revolution sells out on March 9th, Sunday. Hopefully the pay-per-view is good and be over before 1 a.m. Yeah, look, they're doing better with the pay-per-view sales than they are, I think, the Dynamite or Collision sales. So I'm not too worried about it selling out, but we'll see. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't end before 1 a.m. I'll take midnight. I could live with midnight. It's not great, but I can take it.
Yeah, because if we get on at midnight after the show, then we'll be over by like 2.
Yeah, sure.
2:30.
Sure. Yeah. Maria asking, do we think the North will get back together on NXT? The North being Josh Alexander and Ethan Page. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw them interact. I don't know that it's a certainty. From what I know, there's no bad blood between the men, but according to Josh Alexander, like last year, they did not interact really at all after Ethan left. Like they were not like best buds,
right?
Yeah. But if there's money involved and there's money on the table for it, I'm sure it's a possibility if Josh ends up in WWE, which is a healthy possibility.
Yeah, I was going to say it really kind of depends on where Josh is going. We don't know, but it appears he's leaving TNA, so there's not the TNA WWE connection. So if he decides to go outside of those 2 companies, then probably not.
Yeah. Jeremy, for me, AEW tells their stories in the ring. About 90% of them, the storyline is wrestling. So I get why they are long. No, absolutely. There are lots of different ways to tell stories in wrestling. Sometimes it's with a microphone. Sometimes it's with a match. Sometimes it's with a backstage promo or a backstage segment. There's lots of ways to get it done. I agree. I think that's how AEW does it. And quite frankly, I very much love that. And that's not to say I don't love promos either. I love promo guys and I love I love a good amount of WWE storytelling right now. But yeah, I completely agree with that, Jeremy.
I always say, like, and this is a very generalization of the two companies, but WWE is prone to beating you over the head with their storytelling, and AEW is much more subtle. And you have to discern what's going on. And again, big generalization, but some of it works for some people and some of it works for others. And that's why I like wrestling right now. There's a lot of different flavors, and whatever you like. If you like chocolate, you take chocolate. You like vanilla, you get vanilla. If you like strawberry, you're here watching the TNA broadcast. It is what it is.
Is it because I'm wearing the pink hoodie?
No, I just figured strawberry was the third option.
Chocolate, vanilla, straw. Yeah, it would be the third option, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I figured vanilla is probably WWE, chocolate's AEW, and strawberry is TNA. Although that being said, I would imagine chocolate's probably the more popular option.
Yeah.
For ice cream, but vanilla just fits WWE.
I agree.
It's the standard.
I agree. Well put. DGN saying they think Becky Lynch might return tonight on Raw.
Technically tonight.
Technically now tonight.
2:15 or whatever.
Yeah, it's a very real possibility. I think that would be. We're basically counting the days at this point. I wouldn't be shocked though if she just returns at the Rumble. But who knows? Maybe they want to get ahead of the surprise. Maybe they don't want her to be the big surprise. Maybe they just want Jordynn to be the big surprise. But we'll see. Jeremy saying, anyone see that Futurama episode with the Amazon women snoo? That's Slamovich, Ripley, and Grace to Jeremy. I get it. DGN, I can't wait until AJ Styles comes back after his injury and comes back for Carmelo Hayes. AJ has been missed. AJ is missed, and we would love to have him back really soon. I don't know what sucks, but I agree, Dev. I trust your judgment. Yep, I agree. WrestleMania 35 was long. Josh in AEW or WWE.
He might just, honestly, I think Josh might chill for a while. Maybe just hit some indies.
He said he's not doing any more indies.
Oh, that's
late last year.
I think he would just do D'Amore's show. That's what I really
I agree. But D'Amore is showing up in AEW backstage, so we'll see. All things outside, as much as it pains me, I think there are better matchups for him in WWE than AEW. So I think Josh might be better in WWE.
Interesting.
I mean, granted, I want to see Josh Alexander versus Kenny Omega. That match was teased back in Kenny's TNA run, and it just never happened.
I wish he would just do a quick stint in AEW and then go, but
yeah, I would take it. Maria saying, when Phoenix finally signs with WWE, should he and Penta team up again or be singles wrestlers? I think go ahead. This is all you.
Keep them apart, for the love of God. I love them together. The Lucha Bros, we get it. They're brothers. Keep them apart. Let Penta murder people and let Phoenix do his thing and being the new school Rey Mysterio. I was trying to do it in Spanish, but Mysterio. And just let him go out and do the cool flippy shit. Just keep them apart and keep them away from LWO. Keep them away from Santos Escobar and his crew. Just let them do cool shit and let Penta break people's arms. That's all I want.
I agree because how much I love Penta and I know how much you love Phoenix. I'm not going to sit here and lie that I wouldn't want to see the Lucha Bros versus DIY or the Lucha Bros versus
eventually we got time, yo.
Yeah. Last comment, because we're going to have to wrap up. You guys have been great tonight. Thank you so much. Jeremy saying the way Styles was talking, we may not see him again. I think he's just a good worker. I think he's lulling us into not expecting him. He's not going to be at the Rumble, I don't think. I think he still has a good amount of time that he needs to recover, unfortunately. But I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of AJ Styles.
What was his injury again?
It was his leg, but I don't know what in particular. I just know that he had a long recovery time.
Yeah, look, AJ is one of those guys I absolutely 100% love to see him get our AEW run, but
Absolutely.
he has said multiple times he's retiring with WWE, and I respect that. So I think maybe his comments maybe anticipate a retirement run in his near future.
Yeah, I can see that.
And hopefully he goes out in a good way. Hopefully they do him right. Like, I know he's not an AEW WWE lifer, but he is one of the greats. We were talking about it earlier, and he's one of the best ever. And hopefully WWE respects that, and he can go out on not on top, but he can go out in a very proper way with a good feud. Maybe, just maybe, they give us a proper AJ Styles Nakamura match. Maybe.
Who knows?
But we'll see. Hey.
Do it. Play the thing.
Oh, hang on. Wait, Matt. I don't know if he's even going to play from the top.
I believe in Joe Hendry, because I love him in London and Paris and Tokyo.
Get copyrighted.
We get 5 seconds at a time.
There you go. All right. Matt,
I'm glad you came in here, put on the wig and the shirt for us to go off the air.
Yeah, I was watching and I'm like, gotta time this just right. Congratulations, Joe Hendry, on finally winning the
Did not think that would loop.
TNA World Heavyweight Championship. It's about time, Joe Hendry. Now you just have to enter the Royal Rumble and we'll be good.
It's coming. It's coming.
All right, James, take us home.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Matt, we're sorry that we only got you for a little bit. Rev, thank you for popping up at all.
Matt, we did appreciate your on the spot reporting from GCW though.
We're hyping you up, kid. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. A lot of you did, and we really appreciate it. This late snowy Sunday night here in New York. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That way we know we're doing something right and we can keep doing it for you guys. If you're a new face, thank you for checking us out. We hope to keep bringing you back. If you're a returning face, whether you're Jeremy or who we'll talk about Atlanta, but Maria, who I recognize, or Dev, thank you guys so much. DGN, I think you're new, so thank you for checking us out. We hope we entertained you. If you don't,
BX too.
We love BX. It goes without saying. If you like us, you really like us, don't just check us out here. Check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, back on TikTok after it only took 10 hours. Instagram, X, Blue Sky, all of them. We're there. Go check us out. All right, we're fun. Matt kills it on Instagram. Rev kills it on Twitter. Danny kills it everywhere he goes. So
I think Danny's on Twitter and I do the Blue Sky.
I feel like you've tweeted recently.
Not as much as you think.
Regardless,
I have no idea what Blue Sky is.
It's the new Twitter for like liberals.
I sign my tweets on Twitter. So
I do too. But I very rarely tweet. Regardless, we love you guys. Thank you so much. We've been saying it. 2024 was big for us. 2025 is going to be even bigger. So we'll see you soon. Thank you so much. This is Mark It Down. When we cover TNA, this is the Jimpact Zone. Have a good night, everybody. Rev, take us home. I can't do it.